And just like that, ladies and gentlemen, the First Circuit Court of Appeals has officially denied and refused to intervene and halt the order from Judge McConnell ordering them to unfreeze federal funding. Why? Let's get into that in today's video and figure out the reason for that being. This article is by NBC News. The article is titled, Appeals Court Rejects Trump administration bid to immediately reinstate funding freeze. And this article was written by Daniel Barnes and Chloe Atkins and Dara Gregorian. And the article reads, a federal appeals court on Tuesday rejected the Trump administration's bid to pause a lower court's order that temporarily halted a massive freeze that is illegal, my editorial edition, in federal funding. A judge in Rhode Island blocked the funding freeze Monday and ordered the government to, quote, immediately restore frozen funding. In its ruling Tuesday, a 3-judge panel of the First U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals wrote that the, quote, defendants do not cite any authority in support of their administrative stay request or identify any harm related to a specific funding action or actions that they will face without their requested administrative stay, end quote. The Justice Department had sought 2 different kinds of pauses of U.S. District Judge John J. McConnell Jr.'s restraining order barring the government from continuing to implement its sweeping freeze of funding, and another ruling that found that the government had violated the order. Lawyers for the Justice Department contended in part that McConnell's Jr.'s order was vague, but the appeals court suggested they should be patient. Quote, we are confident the district court will act with dispatch to provide any clarification needed with respect to, among other things, the defendant's contention that the February 10th order, quote, bars both the president and much of the federal government from exercising their own lawful authorities to withhold funding without the prior approval of the district court, end quote, the appeals court wrote Tuesday. It said both sides should submit further arguments on the government's request for a stay pending a full appeal by Thursday. The administration has asked the appeals court to rule on the full stay request by Friday. These unlawful injunctions are a continuation of the weaponization of justice against President Trump. The White House will continue to fight these battles in court, and we expect to be vindicated, end quote, the White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt said in a statement. The Justice Department did not immediately respond to a request for comment. The legal challenge was brought by a coalition of 22 states' attorneys general. My editorial edition in the wake of the chaos and confusion across the country last month, caused by a wide-ranging Office of Management and Budget memo almost at implementing some of President Donald Trump's executive orders. Before we continue with the video, ladies and gentlemen, first things first is there was no confusion, and what Donald Trump is doing is blatantly unconstitutional, and I'm glad the First Circuit Court of Appeals, if that, denied to halt the request for the stay, because that request was blatantly BS and a bunch of nonsense. I hope that Judge McConnell Jr. sends the U.S. Marshals after Donald Trump and puts a warrant out for his arrest. Because this guy is no joke, ladies and gentlemen. He is dangerous for our Constitution. He is so dangerous that he needs to be impeached, removed, and put in prison, as well as his Vice President J.D. Vance. He needs to be imprisoned as well. Continuing with the article. The memo directed federal agencies to, quote, temporarily pause all activities related to obligation or disbursement of all federal financial assistance and other relevant agency activities that may be implicated and inclusion or implicated by the executive orders, end quote, on issues like foreign aid and diversity, equity, and inclusion programs. It was later rescinded, but Liv Hewitt, or however the hell you say her name, said the same day that the underlying funding freeze was still in effect. Judge McConnell, not McConnell, granted the state's request for a temporary restraining order on January 31st in a ruling finding the states, quote, are likely to succeed on the merits of some, if not all, their claims, end quote, that the funding freeze exceeded the president's powers. Quote, federal law specifies how the executive should act if it believes that appropriations are inconsistent with the president's priorities. It must ask Congress not act unilaterally, end quote, he said. The states later contended that some of the handling was still frozen, leading McConnell to issue an order Monday directing the government to comply with his order. He also pushed back against the government's assertion that his order was vague. McConnell wrote that the order lifting the freeze had been, quote, clear and unambiguous, end quote, and that the states had, quote, presented evidence in this motion that the defendants in some cases have continued to improperly freeze federal funding or funds, my editorial edition, and refused to resume disbursements of appropriated funding from the federal government. The, quote, pauses in funding violate the plain text, end quote, of the order. He wrote, directing that the funding be immediately restored. It was the first time since Trump's second inauguration that a federal judge has accused his administration of defying a court order, and it comes as his administration has hit numerous roadblocks enacting parts of his agenda because of legal challenges. Vice President J.D. Vance wrote on social media over the weekend, quote, judges aren't allowed to control the executive's legitimate order or power, end quote. And here is where, again, I have to fact check that. If what the president is doing, which is clearly what Donald Trump is doing, they have the full legal gosh darn right to tell Donald Trump what to do. Judge John Jack McConnell can also send the federal marshals, if he so chose to, arrest and throw Donald Trump's criminal convicted rapist butt in prison. They can do the same with you, J.D. Vance. They can do the same to you. So you best watch it. Billionaire Elon Musk, who Trump named as head of his advisory department of government efficiency, also complained about the judges who have been blocking his access to some federal agencies. He suggested that some of those orders might need to be defied, a position that some frustrated staffers in the White House agree with. Before we continue with the article, Elon Musk, if Judge McConnell wanted to as well, knowing that you're completely irresponsible with federal fundings and illegally encouraging Donald Trump to do this, you as well can be thrown in prison. That's right. Judge McConnell can also throw you in prison as well. So you best watch yourself. Trump, who has a history of publicly blasting judges who have ruled against him, said Tuesday he would listen to the courts. Quote, "I always abide by the courts, and then I'll have to appeal it," unquote, Trump told reporters in the Oval Office. McConnell is expected to hold a hearing on the state's request for an injunction this month. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that is going to do it for tonight's video. If you did enjoy tonight's video, please like, comment, share, and subscribe to help me reach the channel goal of 90 subscribers. We're almost there. We have literally 5 more subscribers to go. Thankfully, then we have more subscribers to go after that, because we have more subscriber goals. Lastly, I do have 3 social medias that you guys can instantly follow. The links will be down here below in the video description. I am on Instagram, I am on Snapchat, and I am on Threads. There you guys can instantly be updated on when I have posted a brand new video to the channel. I hope you guys did enjoy this legal breaking update regarding Donald Trump's illegal activity, as well as his corrupt administration's illegal activity and his vice president's illegal activity, and as well as Elon Musk's illegal activity. Thank you so much for watching, ladies and gentlemen, and I will talk to you guys in the next legal breaking update.